Welcome to Highly Social 901, the podcast where we dive into the vibrant world of social interactions and connections. Join us as we explore fascinating topics, share engaging stories, and interview incredible guests who are making waves in their communities. Whether you're looking to enhance your social skills or just enjoy some lively conversations, this is the place for you. Tune in and get ready to elevate your social game.
What's up, buddy?
Yeah, what goes on? What goes on? Hello, hello.
Shit. Was trying to do some other shit, but it didn't work the way I wanted to work. So I need to do this real quick. Give me 1 second.
Okay, it's always some bull donkey that goes on. Always.
Please get it out of this mode.
I,
You know
I,
why y'all be
I,
thinking
I,
this shit is?
I just need that invite, please. I am here, gentlemen. What's up? What's up? Crushing it close on the time. I know, my apologies, but I had to scrub them booty. I was all sweaty spaghetti.
yeah.
You done?
Yeah, I'm good.
What did I miss? Shit.
Hey, I seen your face. I was gonna keep shuffling like cards. That would have been funny as hell. What up, Duggets?
What's up? What's up? What's happening, gentlemen?
I'm just chilling.
Well, I'm gonna fill this.
How's y'all Friday going? Well, your Saturday.
Yeah, good, man. Just went and got some shots up this morning. And schooled a youngin', like 11, 12 years old. Beat him, bless you. Beat him twice in Utah. And a couple times in a game called On the Rack. Bless you again. Just yeah, letting the youth know, old man still got it.
And that you Uncle Willie's son?
I'm Uncle Willie's son.
God damn, nigga.
Let him know. And
I
got a little sippage for when we get going,
Indeed.
Yeah, oh dear. Yeah.
What is that? That's some whiskey?
That is Martell's cognac. Only allowed to enjoy the drinks of a true gentleman.
Hey, my shit fucking up. Cut the mic down some.
All right, I got it. Oh, damn. I just looked over. He is up loud as some bitch.
Some more. A little bit more. Too much. That's too much, nigga.
I think that's fine right there.
Right, say less. I don't know what kind of fuse y'all niggas got going on, but I'm gonna let y'all have it.
Hey, Dougie, say something.
Yeah, I was on mute. My bad. What's up?
Okay. How's it loud?
A little bit. Just a tad.
All right, say something again.
Something, just
A little bit more.
Right. Just ain't right.
Right there.
Yeah.
The last time I got a drink out of a jumbo glass, because we getting some nice glasses later today.
Oh, he gonna be fancy.
No, not yet. That's later today. Oh, baby. Just so you know, Butch sent a message, said that they would be trying to come around too. Butch will be trying to get down around 2-ish. I mean, reasonably so, but yeah, put up a good time. What about the glasses, though?
Days frying chicken.
Okay. It seems like you described those ones that had like the almost leaf look-alike, and I was like, yeah, yeah.
I don't know what's worse, frying chicken on string or eating chicken on string.
Hey, chat, what's worse, frying chicken on stream or
Um,
eating chicken on stream?
that's at least minutes. We'll sort the other stuff out tomorrow.
The grease just popping away. You rather hear somebody the grease pop away or somebody just be smacking their lips on chicken grease and chicken skin?
They could probably grab some. If you're gonna grab wings, I want to just do the food stuff at Aldi. Yeah, just because look, their wings are much better than Coles. Their wings are much better than Coles. Their wings are much better than Coles.
Getting the wing tutorial.
We'll have our usual dinners and stuff available. We'll have our usual dinners and stuff available. We have our. Why you acting like you deaf? It's just bacon cracking, baby.
Oh my
Oh,
bad,
that's
they frying
bacon.
pig.
That's bacon, y'all. They ain't grease. They ain't doing the
Shut up.
the, the
Shut up.
chiffon, the poultry.
I was just saying something.
That's bacon over there. Popping.
Baby.
He finna come back with like 8 strips of bacon on his plate.
It's one of
He
the
gonna
things.
try to tell us it's turkey bacon.
You keep fighting me when I'm trying to put you in your position of power.
You
Design,
finna say so loud.
you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I'm trying to put you in the spots to win, girl. Let me get some of this light. Yeah.
Anyways, we like to thank everybody coming in and chilling with us. Social 901, where you come to chat, but you stay to chill. I am your host, Lau. I'm rolling up backwood right now. This is your host, Mitchell Sensei. And we got your other host, Duckets, over here frying up bacon and chicken in the background.
Aye. Don't be commenting on my watermelon patch out the back
It's bacon wrapped chicken. He over there doing that.
with a watermelon syrup
Oh, that is just racist as hell. You
and
racist.
a grape Kool-Aid reduction.
Are you gonna saute it?
Oh, listen.
Might as well.
That's the appetizer for the night. Now I got to saute it. And if the meat's too thick, you got to fillet it. You know what I mean?
The ghetto connoisseur.
Yes.
But anyway, like always, grab your blunts, bones, papers, wax, weed, whatever you need, even your liquor, to make a hot nigga pie. And we gonna enjoy this ride. So I'm gonna start with you since you got the most going on right now. Besides frying up dead animals right now, what else you been up to today?
Frying up children.
No.
Why I can't say that? Why I can't say that?
Go back to Jello.
Who the fuck out here frying Jello?
He probably did at one
The dude
point.
that don't read
he's a Jell-O
instructions.
man. He right there. He's a Jello man.
No, I went out to get some shots up and stuff this morning. After getting to open up my presents, I got a Coach K book from my lady, and
Nice.
a nice little chefly definitely knife. So new chef knife.
All right, Ned. I said, all right, Ned.
Well, you know, she's just trying to encourage me to continue throwing down.
No, it's the word that you use.
Oh,
She got your what kind of knife?
This one right here.
No, I'm saying, how did you describe it?
Oh, I was just saying, like, just a new knife. Yeah. I was like,
That help. Now he don't want to hit us with the Ned Flanders.
Yeah. So then after that, I went to the gym I signed up to the other week and was getting some shots up. There was a kid there. Ended up being just me and him. And I was like, oh, like, just shoot out or something, for fun. And played a game called On the Rack. Happened to, get the best of him there. Then we played it again, and I got him again. And then I was like, oh, we can switch games up. I got another game. You ever heard of a game called Utah? He was just like, nah. Explained it to him. I don't know if you guys have played Utah, but very simply, very
I
quickly.
played Memphis.
Okay, it's quite probably the same thing. 3 shots, start off at the 3. 3, 2,
No,
1.
it's basically on the principle of dodgeball. If you can dodge a bullet, you can dodge a ball. He played.
Okay.
Plenty times. Plenty.
Okay. So with what we was playing, Utah, you get 3 shots. The first shot is worth 3 and is a 3-pointer.
Oh, we used to get 3 shots too. If the third shot gets you, you're out. Yeah. Similar game. Yes. Very similar.
You shoot your first shot. You got to chase your own rebound. And then wherever it lands, you shoot from. And then it's worth 3, 2, 1. If you get all 3, 6 points. You get all 3, you get to go again. First to 60. I got him like 60 to, I think he had like 30 something the first game and like under 20 the second game. I went on like a 40-point spread. Talking about lift, lock, and snap.
He's balling out.
And then I asked for the CCTV footage.
I
was like, yeah, let me get the video of me cooking this kid. It's funny.
Somebody got to see. He got the security cam footage.
No, I'm trying to get it. Legit.
He trying to get the footage of him playing this kid.
I'm gonna find that kid for his birthday. Just be
on
like,
the orange and blue and white basketball goal.
Hey, little boy, remember me?
They give him Toys R Us.
Hey, Doug, I sent you the invite too.
Oh, my bad.
To the pity and beyond.
What's like near? To the
Hey,
pity and
yes.
beyond.
How are you guys doing? What's going on with y'all?
I've been cooling, man. I don't like being forced to go to work. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. But other than that, I've been cooling today.
Bruce Leroy?
Yeah, I ain't been doing nothing, but just trying to find the glow, and trying to, let them know who's the master.
Show enough. Show enough.
Preach. Hit him with that electric glow.
No, I had to go down there and kick some of them boys' ass. A lot of people missed that if they ain't never watched. But anyways, my day was pretty cool, yeah. Productive, got stuff done. Most of the in my house, dealing with the floor. Found out how bad my bathroom floor was underneath. It is horrible. So yeah, got a lot of wood to replace.
Okay. Yeah, I'm about to get that showing up.
Anyway, it's Halloween month. October. Spooky nights.
And do the mash. And do the monster mash.
The mash.
And do the monster mash.
Yay!
Am I the master?
Bootleg showing up.
Hey.
Hey,
Showing up.
You gotta flare it out some more.
Yeah, before these niggas get too crazy, we're gonna get into this CandyMan. Lord. We'll do a deep dive into that, learn about this man tonight. Know what I'm saying? So give a shout out to y'all, Razal, how you would say that. Give her a follow if you like her content.
In
Cut that music.
1985, Clive Barker, writer, director, and horror icon, would publish a book of short stories. It would debut with little fanfare, quietly making its rounds in England. That was until Stephen King, a man who needs no introduction, raved about Barker's work and there was newfound attention on the project. By the fifth volume, there would be a whopping 30 tales of terror, including one called The Forbidden. The Forbidden was Clive Barker's answer to urban legend and the power of mythos. Following a woman named Helen, the story saw her investigating a council estate left to deteriorate into ruins and its dwellers abandoned by the city. Inspired by the poverty Barker experienced firsthand, having grown up in a Liverpool slum, the story was an observation of these council estates and a denouncement of government neglect. The story begins with Helen simply researching estates for her thesis, aptly titled Graffiti: The Semiotics of Urban Despair, but she quickly falls into a dangerous world where disbelief spells death. The thing to fear in this story is CandyMan, a character that Helen doesn't meet until the tail end, a character who is only manifested by her doubt. When Helen first visits the estate, she finds graffiti ranging from the names of people who live there, professions of who loves who, and images of stick figures in the midst of sexual acts. The usual. But one portrait sticks out, the image of a man painted around a door frame, the visual effect making it appear that he's either screaming or, as Helen sees it, about to eat to his fill. Whatever its origins, it was potent. Even the illusion of door as mouth worked. The short passageway between living room and bedroom offered a passable throat, with a tattered lamp in lieu of tonsils. Beyond the gullet, the day burned white in the nightmare's belly. The whole effect brought to mind a ghost train painting, the same heroic deformity, the same unashamed intention to scare. And it worked. She stood in the bedroom, almost stupefied by the picture, its red-rimmed eyes fixing her mercilessly. This is CandyMan, the unspoken but wholeheartedly believed boogeyman who preys on the tenants of the Spectre Street estate. The tenants are skittish when it comes to saying his name.
That just
Helen
look
meets
like
a
a
character
dirty white
named
man.
Anne-Marie, a young woman who
What you say?
That just look like a dirty white man.
That used to be a pirate.
Arr.
What the Oh, that's crazy.
who lives on the estate with her toddler son, Carrie. Upon their first meeting, Anne-Marie tells Helen all sorts of stories about the grisly murders that have taken place on the estate. Although she never says his name, we know she's talking about CandyMan, and we also know that she is making a mistake. As Helen explores the rest of the estate, she speaks to a few other characters, an unnamed boy around the age of 6 or 7, and 2 older women who tell her about a man dismembered in the lavatories across from the butcher shop. In both cases, there's a lot of hesitancy to speak on the matter, to give details to the facts, to think of the story beyond the realm of rumor. Helen's questions beg for hard evidence, and it's as if everyone but Anne-Marie knows that digging for the hard truth in rumor is enough to summon him. Because when you hear the stories and your response is to ask more questions, yours is a condition of doubt. And doubt is deadly. I don't know you, she said. No, the man murmured. But you doubted me. Doubted. You weren't content with the stories, with what they wrote on the walls. So I was obliged to come. The drowsiness slowed her mind to a crawl, but she grasped the essentials of what the man was saying. That he was legend, and she, in disbelieving him, had obliged him to show his hand. Barker delved into the power of rumor and urban legend and how willing we are to accept these legends as fact, as if presenting doubt would be more dangerous, and he gives a manifestation of that fear of what doubt could lead to. The story doubles as a condemnation of the British government's carelessness when it came to the upkeep of the council estates, which sheds a very particular lens on the kind of classism and disenfranchisement that characterized the Liverpudlian slums in the 1960s and on.
Candlesticks in the dark, visions of bodies.
Now, would y'all would have ever thought that that's where our shit came from?
A dirty white man?
Yeah.
No. No. I ain't
That was
think
a,
that's
that
how
was
CandyMan came about.
yeah, that was the very first telling / story of that man. And this is when they finna get into when he came to us.
Like our show gonna ask when the fur coat come up. So.
When the first who?
Fur coat.
Oh,
being burned. Candlesticks in the dark, visions of bodies being burned.
Each movie in the series creates its own version of the urban legend, reflecting the viewpoints of not only the filmmakers but the time it was created in. When director Bernard Rose wanted to adapt the short story for the big screen, he knew he would be more likely to get financial backing if the movie took place in America. So, while keeping most of Barker's themes intact, he transported the story from a council estate in Liverpool to project housing in Chicago. By making this change, he added new subtext to the story. What was once about classism and disenfranchisement became a story that was also about redlining and racism, particularly with the inclusion of CandyMan's backstory. In his life, CandyMan was just an artist, a talented painter named Daniel Robitaille, who happened to
For this scene with the bees in his mouth, if y'all didn't know, those was real bees in his mouth. And they told him if they wanted him to do, he told them if they wanted him to do that shit, they gotta pay him for each time he gets stung. It was over $1,000 or so dollars. I cannot remember the exact number, but that man got paid. He got stung over 20 sometimes. He got paid. If
yeah,
y'all didn't know
because
that.
I don't think I would be doing this shit.
Oh yeah, they was like, yeah, we gotta use real bees and shit. He was like, if I'm gonna do this, y'all gonna pay me, you fuckers.
They're trying to set that man up.
He got paid for it too.
be a black man during the 1800s. You already know. Robitaille is said to have been a free man, sent to all the best schools and growing up in so-called polite society. He was commissioned by a wealthy landowner, code for plantation owner, to paint a portrait of his daughter, a woman named Caroline. Daniel and Caroline fall in love and Caroline falls pregnant. When her father finds out, he incites an angry mob of racists to torture Daniel, murder him, and inadvertently start an urban legend that will live on well beyond them. Adding this backstory sheds a different light on CandyMan's lore. Now more than ever, he's a tragic figure whose terror comes with an edge of sadness. This is what separated CandyMan from a lot of the other horror villains. Not only did he have this romantic air to him, but his backstory gives his actions as a ghost or a demon or whatever you want to call him an air of revenge. And it's revenge that we can't help but feel is justified, even if it is sometimes misplaced. Quite a few things are kept the same from the short story. Helen is still researching government housing for her thesis, but this time her thesis is on urban legends, not the semiotics of graffiti. Trevor is still a fucking asshole. I cannot stand this guy. But credit where credit's due, Xander Berkeley really captured what a douche he is. Here's a description of Trevor from Barker's original story. When, late on Saturday afternoon, Trevor found some petty reason for an argument, she let the insults pass, watching him perform the familiar ritual of self-martyrdom without being touched by it in the least. Her indifference only enraged him further. He stormed out in high dudgeon to visit whichever of his women was in favor this month. She was glad to see the back of him. When he failed to return that night, she didn't even think of weeping about it. He was foolish and vacuous.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The 1992 film is perhaps best characterized by its slow burn pacing that culminates in a fiery conclusion. Pun very much intended. It's something quite satisfying to return to because it doesn't concern itself too much with the trap of trying too hard to hook an audience. It's content to just be and to build things in a steady but effective way. Perhaps the best element of the entire film is the way CandyMan looms so heavily over everything, and this is long before we see him. Aside from the intro set to Philip Glass's now unforgettable score, the first thing we hear is CandyMan himself, the commanding voice of Tony Todd.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Placing his voice over the bees and then later the cityscape of Chicago really captures the essence of CandyMan being more idea than man. Helen and Bernadette, Helen's best friend and the person she probably should have ended up with, research urban legends for their thesis. They interview undergrads, getting the students to tell them stories that they've heard from a friend of a friend of a friend. Stories that have no place in reality but have become so ubiquitous that they are incorrectly perpetuated as fact.
My roommate's boyfriend knows him.
Since part of what inspired Clive Barker was the age-old belief in campfire tales, Bernard Rose implemented other urban legends alongside the ones in The Forbidden. Rose threw in the Bloody Mary element of saying Candyman's name a set number of times in front of the mirror. He also included the beheading.
How many times y'all did this shit?
Did that a couple.
I'm black.
What they gotta do anything?
I ain't done that shit, nigga.
I'm black. I've done it.
This is where he be trying to pull out
They,
that high
they
yellow
don't know if
card.
they got taken or not, y'all. They don't know. They could be copies, mirror copies.
This nigga.
Of a guard dog, similar to versions of the Humans Can Lick Too urban legend. One of the stories Helen is told leads her to Candyman, and she becomes hyperfixated on the tale more than any other urban legend, partly because she finds a connection between the myth and a real-life murder in Cabrini Green that match the story. Once this happens, she finds a narrative thread for her thesis. Can the power of an urban legend really be so persuasive that it convinces an entire community to attribute real crimes to a mythical figure? Helen is already in disbelief of the legend, and these nuggets of truth don't help. The further she digs into the lore, the more she endangers herself and others, including Anne-Marie, a young woman she meets at Cabrini who is just trying to protect her infant son, Anthony, from all that threatens him, from the gang violence outside to the man with a hook for a hand in the bathroom.
Got my eye on this one big time. Yeah. They're not gonna get him.
By the time Helen realizes what her investigation has done, that it has sowed doubt into the hearts of Candyman's congregation, it is far too late. Candyman chooses her, comes for her, not only for the doubt she has spread, but for her, so that the two of them can live on in blissful myth together.
I am rumor. It is a blessed condition, believe me, to be whispered about at street corners, to live in other people's dreams, but not to have to be. Do you understand?
And wanting to destroy Helen's life, essentially giving her a tragic mythology akin to his own, Candyman frames her for the murder of a dog, the assumed murder of baby Anthony, Bernadette, and a psychiatrist in the asylum Helen is eventually committed to. Given the subject matter, it's natural that there are a lot of themes of faith and religion that come into play. Candyman is given power through belief. He punishes those who doubt him and who incite doubt within his congregation.
Candyman isn't real. He's just a story. You know, like Dracula.
Your disbelief destroyed the faith of my congregation. Without them, I am nothing. So I was obliged to come.
When we see where he resides, it's not unlike an altar. Those who live in fear of him and in fear of his wrath are spared, but those who do not, those emboldened by disbelief, well, he shows them just what to believe in. In life, Daniel was a fallible and vulnerable man. In rumor, he gets to be a god. The original idea for a sequel was set for Virginia Madsen to return, but this time she wouldn't be Helen, this time she would be Caroline. And the story would really expand on the gothic and romantic themes established in the first film. This idea was shuttered because the studio was uncomfortable with depicting an interracial relationship. That's kind of a recurring theme with the Candyman films up until 2021. These films are rooted in racism. Daniel Robitaille does not become Candyman without dying a terrible death, and that doesn't happen without the angry racist mob that murders him for falling in love with a white woman. But then at the same time, these stories, behind the scenes, are often held back by the very racism they aim to be about. The producers on the first film were
Talk about her voice, the one she was blessed with. Like, she ain't had no choice in that. I mean, everybody can't project their voice though. That's not an ability everybody have. Some people just have soft voices. Some people have loud voices. Some people,
theory that Candyman couldn't be black because it would be seen as racist to have a black horror villain. Like, it's racist to have a black character, but not racist to say we can't do this movie because these two characters can't kiss because one of them is black. Since the original idea was scrapped, the new film, penned by Ren Ravick and Mark Kruger, takes place in New Orleans. A brilliant choice, honestly. I appreciate that they moved the story to a new location because it gives viewers an opportunity to see the reach of Candyman's
Turn the mic up,
legend
it'll
and
distort the
his
sound.
congregation. The opening of
Especially
Gala
depending
to
on
the
how
Flesh
your
includes Professor
your,
Philip Purcell,
your
the
headphones
annoyingly pedantic and condescending character introduced in the first film. He's on a book tour, recently having published an expansion of the paper he wrote about Candyman 10 years prior to the events that played out in the first film. He gives a brief presentation about the life of Daniel Robitaille, aided with paintings that probably shouldn't exist, and is dared by an audience member to summon Candyman. He does so, chanting his name into the reflection of the book. Side note: brilliant cover design for a topic about mirrors and urban legends. Upon leaving the book signing, Purcell is approached by Ethan Tarrant, the son of Coleman Tarrant, a man who had become obsessed with Candyman. After contacting Purcell,
No, everybody's just gonna speak loud,
Candyman
boo.
expert, Coleman
It's
is
something you gotta
convinced
accept.
that the only way to overcome his obsession and his fear is to actually summon Candyman. Ethan hasn't been able to come to terms with his father's death, and he confronts Purcell about his actions. He later attacks Purcell in a bar, which is terrible timing on his part because as soon as Purcell goes to the bathroom,
I just want y'all
black
to see.
man. Candyman shows up and does
I'm
his
handing
whole
this over to the lady. The old piece of plastic.
Nigga, you just show that on stream?
Huh?
Did you just show that on stream?
That I gave her my card?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't cover anything up?
I ain't stressing.
All right.
White people.
Yeah, we'll do. I mean, I guess I suppose it's more so a thing when you take the time to point it out, but
I'm just being vigilant, my boy.
and Candyman. I'm guessing
I
business
believe
has
you
been
have the
good for
editing
him. He got
skills to
himself a
block
little
that if you so
makeover, a little
choose.
silk press, slick back. Naturally, Ethan,
Can't do that
having
on
been
Twitch.
seen by several
I can do it when I
people
put it on
attacking
YouTube,
Purcell,
yeah.
is arrested for his murder, and this begins two investigations, one conducted by the police and the other conducted by our main character, Annie Tarrant, a school teacher and Ethan's younger sister. A black man. Annie knows her brother is innocent and figures he must be
Why she
taking
do
the fall
that?
for someone.
Why she do that?
That's her second time doing that, fool. That's originally why I stopped it. He did that the first time.
A
And we
black
started
man.
talking about other
The
shit.
fuck? Do that to every black character? What the hell?
To let her brother rot away in prison for a crime he didn't commit, she makes it her mission to clear his name. One of her first explorations is revisiting her abandoned childhood home. It's there that she finds, along with squatters, an area dedicated to Candyman. The images strike a familiarity in her, but she doesn't look into it further. Not until one of her students, a talented and anxious kid named Matthew, expresses a deep-seated fear of Candyman. When his fears cause disruptions in the classroom, Annie takes matters into her own hands and chooses to summon Candyman right then and there. Nothing happens in the moment because Candyman has a habit of picking and choosing when he'll attack someone, a habit that gets to be frustrating whenever the roles are bent for characters who need to last longer just because the script calls for it. Although he doesn't appear, he does send a single bee, and that's enough for Matthew to know he isn't safe. Candyman comes to Annie that night and basically gives her the same deal he gave Helen. He then kills her husband, who I realize I haven't mentioned until this very moment. She has a husband. She had a husband. We later find out Annie is a descendant of Daniel Robitaille, a long-kept family secret. So I get why Annie gets the plot armor of being safe from meeting her end at the hook, but at the same time, continuing with this storytelling device, where Candyman spares people who were connected to a particular part of his previous life, by particular I do mean the white part, really just makes it seem like Candyman has a rampant white girl fetish. If you give him the aux, he just plays Pink Toes on repeat. Now aware of Candyman's undeniable existence, Annie switches gears to find out what had her father so obsessed with this legend. She finds out that Candyman's soul was trapped in a mirror, and if she can find and destroy the exact mirror that captured his spirit, she can break the curse. This is one of the elements I feel is over-explained. We never really know why we have to say Candyman's name a set number of times. We don't know why he can be summoned. We don't know why mirrors have to be involved, but it doesn't matter. These aren't things you really need an explanation for, even though I can appreciate.
Back.
Now that I think about it, I remember the second one more than I remember the first one. First one really just ain't stand out too much to me like
You
that, but I
said that and
remember.
you just walked off. The disrespect.
Yeah, I guess so. My bad.
Every time you share your opinion, this man leaves or tells you to shut up.
Bro, you right. He did that shit. You know what? I'm gonna just stop. Saying how I feel about shit.
Yo. I'm just saying the timing. Like
Yeah,
he was like, "Hey man, you know what?
every time I do,
down, up and off."
This nigga don't never want to hear shit. All right. Okay.
Oh, he figured you'd be done now. He coming back. Yes. So, yeah, let's continue because those look like white crosses.
A decent backstory. Sometimes it's just better to say, hey, this is how things are in this movie. Annie realizes that her childhood home was also the plantation where Daniel was born.
He was born at the Esplanade Plantation. That's my family's house.
See, that's the look you give someone when you learn they grew up on a plantation. She's able to find the mirror, which was hidden in the slave quarters. She destroys it, Candyman is defeated, and sometime later she gives birth to a daughter who threatens to undo all of her hard work.
CandyMan,
Caroline! Go to sleep.
There are a few.
How the fuck does she know about
We
it?
still have that element of classism through Annie and her wealthy family. The first indication of their wealth is when Annie visits her ailing mother, Octavia, and we see that her house is the definition of opulence. One of the main detectives, Ray, is dying to see Ethan get charged for murder and put away for good. Not only because he believes Ethan is guilty, but because rich people get away with too much and he's sick of it.
I know kids like him in school.
And people wonder why one of the reasons why I say this shit. I went to school with people like you. Him and fucking a judge, a Mathis nigga.
A crackhead. See, yeah, I went to school with people like you.
See now
Wow.
see I don't never say the first part. See now he throwing away my sauce when I be telling people this shit. I went to school with people like you.
Wow.
I always thought they were better than me.
You look like a biter.
Because they lived in some fucking mansion up on Esplanade Avenue.
Even though this sequel dials back on some of the initial themes presented, they're still around, a bit faded and faint, like an echo of an echo, or the ghost of
What's
a
worse,
ghost.
a biter or a
Because of how our
spitter?
main characters tie into Daniel's history, having been directly related to the man who incited the mob that killed Daniel, having been descendants of slave owners, of people who owned the plantation Daniel's parents were born in. This version of the urban legend has, like, a reparations ring to it, specifically a fear of reparations. I mean, we're following a family who are the descendants of slave owners as they're picked off one by one by the ghost of a free man who was born to slaves. The movie does go on to shed light on Daniel's pain in this version of the story. Octavia knew she was his descendant but kept it a secret, as was tradition in her family. Part of his anger is the fact that he was essentially erased, left to die as Daniel and only to live as rumor.
Your father was trying to destroy everything that we had by linking our name with that monster.
So you destroyed it instead. By denying the truth.
The movie aims to be sympathetic to him, but it is undeniably a story that reflects a fear of reparations, no matter how unintentional it may have been. CandyMan 3: Day of the Dead is not to be mistaken with a film that is about something. It's a low-effort, forgettable, listless exploration of a character whose magnitude is rendered insubstantial. Unlike other installments in the series, Day of the Dead almost prides itself on adding absolutely nothing to the conversation. It doesn't implement depth to Candyman the character, or give additional layers to his lore. It doesn't focus on a group of characters whose presence could inform the pre-established themes inherent to the story. It doesn't do much of anything, which is why I have the least to say about it. But before we
She's
move
saying
on,
the
you should at
people he
least
was
know
killing
the
in
plot.
this one ain't shit.
Ain't been about shit. Ain't finna be about shit.
Ain't gonna do shit. Ain't gonna ever have shit. You on the bottom of somebody's shoe.
This takes place 25 years after the events of Farewell to the Flesh, focusing on Caroline, Annie's daughter. Caroline lives in LA, intermingling with the likes of fellow struggling actors and insufferable artistes. She has frequent and inexplicable nightmares about her mother's death and a man with a hook for a hand. A talented artist herself, she often draws these images that are haunting her. Caroline stands apart from our other protagonists because she already knows about Candyman. At the end of Farewell to the Flesh, Annie makes a point of telling Caroline the story of her great-great-grandfather, and she carries that with her throughout her life. For whatever reason, despite being warned
Why
about
the fuck would
Candyman
you hang
all throughout her
mirrors
childhood, she
above your
decides to summon
child?
him to prove he isn't real. This
And your
kind of
family got a
character
history with
development is
mirrors.
what I like to call
A bad history.
because the script said so. And for argument's sake, let's
Hey, that
just
just
say they
answered your
were
question.
trying to implement a subplot about
Won't he
Caroline
do it?
doubting her mother and resenting her for making her live in fear all her life, but they don't do that, so Caroline attends the latest exhibition of her friend Miguel, a gallery owner. Prior to the film's start, Caroline decided to donate the painting she inherited from Daniel Robitaille in an effort to shed more light on him as a human, not as an urban legend. I have to say, this is an element of the story that I actually like. Caroline is doing what Annie did, trying to make Daniel Robitaille's name be remembered, not Candyman's name. She wants to do something that highlights who he was in life and not what death and rumor turned him into. I can appreciate this, but this moment right here is as far as it goes.
Daniel Robitaille was an artist, not some monster with a hook.
Please.
I want people to know Daniel Robitaille the man, not some twisted urban myth.
And that's the last of that. I will say this for the third movie. There's a scene while Caroline is at the exhibition and Miguel is relaying the story of Daniel's death. While he's telling it, art-goers listen on with an almost ravenous attention, and Caroline is holding back tears. Robitaille's story, his torture, and his tragic death are told over and over again to people eager to be entertained, even thrilled by it. There's the tiniest shred of something we'll see later expanded in Candyman 2021, and that is the exploitation of Black pain and suffering for artistic gain. Caroline, pressured by Miguel, summons Candyman at the gallery, even though her mom warned her all her life that if you fucked around, you would find out. Candyman proceeds to kill Miguel, Miguel's fling Lena, Caroline's roommate Tamara, and a gang of goths who have decided to worship Candyman because Satan was too busy. Interestingly enough, Candyman approaches Caroline after he was summoned and gives his usual spiel. You didn't believe in me, blah blah blah, you doubted me, blah blah blah, but he doesn't do anything to her. This is one of the many examples of the Candyman lore becoming kind of confusing. Once again, Candyman kills someone who didn't even summon him. To get you to understand how ridiculous this is, it would be like if after Helen summoned him in the first movie, Candyman traveled to wherever Trevor was and killed him. Sure, we can say he's messing with Caroline, trying to frame her in the same way he framed Helen, but even if that's what we're saying, it doesn't make any sense. Let's think back to when Candyman killed Bernadette. Would Candyman have traveled to Bernadette's place, or did he only kill her because she was there with Helen? We can't know for sure, but this is still pretty ridiculous. The cops suspect a guy named David, an
How that
actor
flesh
paid to
don't
scare
rot?
people with a hook at the
Yeah, what?
How that flesh don't rot? No maggots, no nothing. I guess the bees are tending to it.
Why would his flesh be rotting?
It's just out there and exposed. Look at all like the meaty flesh around the hook that's just sitting there in every movie.
I think you talking about first off, he a fucking myth slash legend, so it is never just do some shit like that. I think you talking about like his ass. I'm like, they didn't say that's how he was. I'm sorry, I got confused like hell. That was my fault. You didn't even. It ain't like you. I confused myself thinking about other shit. That was totally my fault. Shit, crazy. Hey man, I can admit my downfalls. All right.
Appreciate you, brother.
The
Appreciate
exhibition, and later they start to. Wait a second, isn't that cop the priest from the Bernie Mac show?
I've only been teasing him, Father.
Ever since you humiliated the boy on the radio, Mr. Mack.
And later, they start to suspect Caroline of helping David, and that's really all the plot is. Caroline takes the expected steps to figure out how to stop Candyman. Candyman kidnaps David to get to Caroline, and in the end, Caroline outsmarts Candyman. The thing about this movie is that, like I said before, it doesn't really do anything to expand the lore or the narrative, or even explore just how far the Candyman myth has spread. What's more frustrating than the lack of exploration is just how hard this movie tries to dig deeper. Elements will be introduced, but it's all surface level. For example, when David is suspected of the Candyman killings, Caroline tells him that if he's innocent, he has nothing to worry about. Girl, be serious for one damn second. And David
Be
calls her out on
serious.
her ignorance.
What fucking planet do you live on? You know what they say about this cop craft? He's been investigated 5 times for police brutality.
I have a theory that Candyman 2021 is actually a direct sequel to Candyman Day of the Dead because of this line.
You must destroy the myth.
The 2021 film was often called a direct sequel to the 1992 film, but there's no suggestion in the original film that Helen was able to stop Candyman's myth from spreading. She was successful in stopping him from killing baby Anthony and stopping herself from becoming his lover in the afterlife, but there's no indication that she is able to unspread Candyman's lore. However, in Day of the Dead, the movie ends with Caroline successfully attributing recent crimes thought to have been committed by Candyman to the cop who loves brutality. The ending suggests that Candyman will be a forgotten story eventually. In the newest film, characters are constantly suggesting that Candyman has disappeared and his legend has faded, and if this were a direct sequel to the original, I don't think that would be the case. So, despite the fact that Day of the Dead takes place in 2020 and the latest Candyman film takes place in 2019, I think 2021 is a direct sequel to Day of the Dead. Sorry, not sorry.
I hate when people do that.
About
The sorry, not sorry. If you're not fucking sorry, don't waste the sentence.
Candyman 2021 is when the series gets back to having some sort of focus. Like the short story, the original film, and the first sequel all had something to add to the lore, some other level to explore. Bars, the 2021 film has a lot to say. Probably too much, actually. This movie had an opportunity to give black characters more focus, to put them at the heart of the story, and give them deeper characterization beyond reacting to an interloping white woman. And for that, I will always appreciate this movie, even though I don't love it. The Candyman series has a habit of sidelining characters of color, and while you could say that's the case for a lot of film series, Candyman is the only one that centralizes racism and prejudice. With those themes being so inherent to the films, you would think more effort would be put toward giving characters of color more to do, but that's not something we've seen often. Directed by Nia DaCosta, produced by Jordan Peele, and written by the aforementioned creatives along with Win Rosenfield, Candyman 2021 promised to be a story that not only focused on black characters, but gave them more agency, complexity, and more depth than what we'd seen so far. This addition to the series was set to focus on baby Anthony, all grown up, and initially Anne-Marie was set to have a bigger role.
Wow,
It was exciting,
that was super
and
white.
given the creative minds behind it, the film was bound to give more weight to the
super white.
social issues that became the framework for the first.
Hey man, that's the only way Rugrats All Grown Up is gonna get any type of mention. So let them have that. Because that show sucked ass.
I can't believe you just did that to us.
It just sucked ass.
They had no adventures.
Come on, Pred. You gotta check out the Candyman, man. You grown now.
Exactly. You supposed to have, you know what I'm saying, the cojones in that household now. Go on, say his name 3 times. I dare you. I double dog dare you. Batman.
Alright, listen to
So
Show
it's
Enough.
curious and disappointing that this iteration of the story, despite centering black characters, does so little with them, and instead of making the social analysis a framework for the film, makes it the entire picture, to such an extent that the story takes a back seat to the message. Candyman continues where previous films left off. There's a hard line between the wealthy and the poor, those outside of Cabrini Green and those inside of what's left of it. But this movie gives a special spotlight to police brutality and the exploitation of trauma. The topic of redlining does come up from time to time, especially in the beginning when our main characters, Anthony and Brianna, host a housewarming dinner with Brianna's brother Troy and his boyfriend Grady. Brianna is now living in a condominium that is essentially a symbol of the gentrification of Chicago, something that Troy is fixated on, not because of the gentrification necessarily, but because this neighborhood is supposedly haunted. The topic of conversation is perfectly fine, even understandable narratively, as it sets up the reintroduction of Cabrini Green and Helen Lyle, topics that will eventually inspire Anthony. But the actual dialogue in these scenes are heavy-handed and a bit didactic.
You would never know.
Yeah, because they tore it down and gentrified the shit out of it.
White people built the ghetto and then erased it when they realized they built the ghetto.
As the movie goes on, you start to
So not getting stung by a bee, but a movie that had bees in it got you scared of bees. Boy, they fucked you up as a child. As a child. They made sure your ass grew up right.
This motherfucker, get in your room.
realize that these aren't just two clumsy lines, but they're indicators for the path the story is heading down, a story wherein the subtext becomes the text. What's more striking is that there seems to be an awareness of that issue within the screenplay. A scene later in the film sees Anthony showing Brianna his first proper painting in a few years. It's after his first visit to Cabrini, when a character named William Burke tells him all about an innocent man.
Hey, it's Willie the
His
Wino.
death at the hands of police essentially turned him into a mythical figure called CandyMan. Anthony presents Brianna with the painting, which is very pointed, just an image of Sherman bloodied and bruised as white hands descend over him. Upon seeing the painting, Brianna says,
"It's a pretty literal approach. Not much room for viewer interpretation, moving from the symbolism of violence to the actual depiction of it."
Each time I revisit this film, and I have revisited a lot just to write this script, I have to wonder if this line was put in there as some sort of lampshading, a way to acknowledge that yes, this script is very obvious, but we know that, and that's the point. Does it work to the film's advantage, though? The opening of this film follows a young William Burke, who from now on I'm only going to refer to as Burke. Burke is playing with shadow puppets, playing out a story about police officers. His mother tells him to take care of the laundry, and as he leaves, his sister says that she hopes Sherman gets him. At this point in the story, Sherman isn't actually CandyMan. He's just a misunderstood guy who lives in the walls and offers candy to kids in a really suspicious way. When razor blades start showing up in Halloween candy, they suspect Sherman. The cops are posted up in the neighborhood looking for him. So when young Burke goes to the laundromat and Sherman...
I'm not doing something actually nefarious, but I might do things in a weird way, and so people second guess me, Kitty and others. But you see,
nigga, I would have been called the cops on your ass. I wouldn't wait for that long for some razor blades to show up in no can. Man, nigga, remove this
The
man.
nigga living in the walls.
Hey, listen, man, it's quiet in here. You want a piece of candy?
Fuck no.
steps over the walls to offer him candy. Burke is naturally scared shitless.
Let's see, I'll
and
probably pop
screams
out the wall
alarm
and be like,
police who
"I got
rush
something
in.
Archie
Later in the
just
story,
stuck on
we're
it."
told that because Sherman was an innocent man
Pick
whose
a
life was
flavor.
cut short by police brutality, he became one of the many candy men. I have respect for this element because it's not something we've ever seen explored in any of the previous iterations. Having something like this for CandyMan can work, should work, but doesn't quite stick the landing here, and that's mainly because the story is so overstuffed with other narrative threads that few of them are allowed the space to fully develop. Shortly after the first kill in the movie, when Brianna's colleague Clive and his latest lover Jerica are brutally slayed, but interestingly enough not from going to gullet, there's a very brief scene where we see a little girl approaching a man sitting on a window pane. The young girl is Brianna, and the man is her father. The scene plays out the memory Brianna has of watching her father take his own life. As out of place as it is, the scene has a connection to the parasitic relationship between art and trauma, but that connection is not only tenuous, but it's incomplete. It's unclear if the story was originally intended to focus more on Brianna, if there was meant to be more to the experience she had with her father and the experience she's currently having with Anthony as he descends into madness. We don't really know. The only thing we do know is that the scene, no matter how it was intended, has no place in the story as it is. Also, to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure how to feel about the other CandyMen being real-life victims of lynchings and executions, police shootings. I don't know. I feel weird about it, but I can't put it into words.
She
After
feel
the
weird about
introduction
that,
set
but
in
it's okay
1977, we
that Freddy
transitioned to
Krueger
Chicago
get
in 2019.
killed by people in the neighborhood and then come back as a spirit and all that shit. That's a good story. Like
She never said that. You said that. You brought that, and she never brought Freddie into this. Why would you bring somebody into something that no one said nothing about?
Ain't
Roll
Now
the
you
tape.
just
said nothing about no Freddy. No Freddie Jackson, no Freddy Krueger, no
Freddie
Freddy
Mercury.
Daniels, no Freddie Mercury, nothing, nobody.
Where Brianna and Anthony are hosting the dinner. Joy tells a story about Cabrini, which includes Helen Lyle. There's no mention of CandyMan, which, if we're pretending this movie is a direct sequel to Day of the Dead, makes perfect sense.
Hey, Freddie
Being
Jackson.
told Helen's story seems to awaken something in Anthony. Deciding to do research and implement the
Freddie got
topic of
fingered.
project housing and redlining into his new paintings, he sets out for Cabrini. I do wish we saw a bit more of Anthony's obsession with this topic, that we felt him being inexplicably drawn to it. The way it's constructed, it kind of just feels like Troy tells a story and Anthony immediately jumps on it. Everything is sort of handed to Anthony in a way that makes him feel like an incredibly passive character. He goes to Cabrini because Troy told him the story about Helen. He starts to transform into
I
a
did what I like,
Candyman
some
because he
sausage.
was stung by a bee.
Oh, little more muscle.
Candyman can be born by a bee sting. I don't know, kind of like Candyman is your unfriendly neighborhood ghost demon. And he doesn't do a lot of discovering or
Unfriendly
digging of
neighborhood
his own.
ghost
He looks up
demon.
one article about Cabrini, which for some reason has a picture of Helen Lyle next to it, even though nothing in the article even mentions her, and everything else is told to him, and there's not much he has to do. It never feels like Anthony's in danger or even on the precipice of some great discovery until the very end. Even the thesis he said he wanted to explore with his paintings ultimately takes a back seat.
I'm thinking about doing something about the projects, about how white supremacy, it creates these spaces of rampant neglect for communities of color, and particularly black communities. Yeah.
Doing a project about the projects, and specifically Cabrini, makes perfect sense, but his thesis has
I'm the
nothing to
backwards
do
man,
with
the
the urban
backwards man.
legend, so why does he dedicate all of his time to listening to Helen Lyle's tapes about Candyman?
I can
Why
walk
does
back
he
as fast as
dedicate
you
a
can.
portion of his display at the exhibition to saying Candyman's name? All of these things would make more sense if he was under some sort of hypnosis, if we honed in on his connection to Helen and to Candyman, but because we don't, it all feels sort of nonsensical.
The city cuts off a community and waits for it to die.
Right, Anthony, you have a point. Why the hell isn't this part of your art? How did it become all about Candyman? And why do you think people need to say Candyman in order to understand redlining? Did the bee sting make you stupid? Anthony's research into Candyman and his decision to implement
Wow.
the urban legend into his artwork spreads a wildfire of brutal murders,
Never
starting with
heard of
Clive and Jerica, then an
bee
art critic,
stinger
and then a
induced
bunch of
stupidity.
teenagers who have no connection to the story whatsoever. This is another scene that feels completely out of place due to a combination of overwriting and
Charlie Schultz.
underwriting. There's supposed to be a parallel between these high
What I
school
got?
girls getting murked and the girl in 1977 who had a razor blade in her candy. In 77, the razor blade is suggested to have started some sort of witch hunt that would lead to the murder of Sherman Fields, an innocent man. In 2019, the high school girls' murders should have tied into another frenzy where everyone is
Watch
looking
party
for a
sound
killer,
nice.
and the
Watch
police
party
gun
sound
down an
nice.
innocent man named Anthony McCoy, thereby creating
I
a
mean,
new
we doing big
Candyman. But
titties,
we
fat
never hear
asses. What
anything
we doing?
about these girls' deaths. It has no effect on any other character, no impact on the plot. It really
Oh,
just
you
feels
meant
like it was shot for the teaser trailer, and that's frustrating because it clearly has a deeper connection to the plot development. That said, even if we did see it play out in the witch hunt way, it would still leave a lot of questions, because if the girls are killed by Candyman, and in the ending Burke feels the need to create a new Candyman because Candyman has disappeared, but then how did Candyman kill You know what I mean? The movie ends with Brianna and Anthony being taken hostage by Burke. Burke has convinced himself that a new Candyman needs to be created and feared to stop gentrification. He cuts Anthony's arm off and stuffs a hook into his bloody stump. He also gives him a great value Candyman coat. Burke calls the police to report the Candyman killer is on the loose. He chases down Brianna. Brianna kills him in self-defense. The cops show up and they kill Anthony. Then Brianna is taken to the back of a police car where she looks into the mirror and summons Candyman. Anthony appears as Candyman, takes out a bunch of cops, lets Brianna live, and transforms into Tony Todd. Tony Todd tells Brianna to
tell everyone.
And the end. I'm sorry, what? Up until this point, the movie is fine. It's a bit didactic, a bit disjointed, but it's fine. Once we get to Burke's plan, the lore complicates itself into a knot that is impossible to untangle. Let's go back to what we know of Candyman for just a second. The 1992 film and each edition thereafter show Candyman to be some sort of equal opportunity killer. Despite his brutal death at the hands of racists, Candyman doesn't care about black people. His legacy haunts the Cabrini Green community, making them live in fear. He hesitates in killing Helen Lyle when she summons him because of what she represents, but he has no hesitation in killing the creator of Eve's Bayou, and it's suggested that he's killed people who have summoned him in Cabrini before. He doesn't have any particular person that he goes after. Anyone who doubts, anyone who summons, can get it. Now, let's go to Burke. Burke grew up in Cabrini during the 1970s. At that point, there seemed to be no talk of Candyman, only talk of Sherman. Burke sees Sherman when he's a regular man, and again after his brutal killing turns him into Candyman. He first appears to Burke after Burke's sisters are murdered for summoning him. With this, the movie suggests that Candyman is still an equal opportunity killer who doesn't have any morals, and this is totally in line with what's become one of Candyman's most famous quotes.
I am the writing on the wall, the whisper in the classroom. Without these things, I am nothing. So now I must shed innocent blood.
The framing of this, that brutal deaths can create a Candyman, makes it seem like a sad ghost story, where Candyman condemns people to the same brutality that ended his life. He's a tragic character who's doomed to repeat the violence that was inflicted upon him. He's never framed as being some sort of folk hero to black people or a vigilante. Not until this movie. Burke says he wants to bring Candyman back because the community needs him.
Candyman is how we deal with the fact that these things happened. That they're still happening.
Which makes a bit of sense. That's exactly what people in Cabrini were doing in the original film, attributing the crimes around them to Candyman because maybe that made it easier to deal with the fact that they had so little control over what could have happened to them. However, the suggestion that Candyman is a protector of sorts is definitely a choice. Burke goes on and on about how they need Candyman to fight the gentrifiers, to fight the police, even hinting that his presence
sound like an army
keeps
trying
them
to kill
safe.
all the
And while it's a
gentrifiers?
nice idea to explore a ghost demon who kills gentrifiers, it's also incredibly inconsistent. If Candyman's whole thing is that in order to exist, he must shed innocent blood, why is he exclusively killing people who he doesn't consider to be innocent? And how does the community need him this much when he is also killing them? This ending also bothers me because Burke keeps saying they need a new Candyman, but as long as the lore is alive, Candyman is alive. And according to the film, Candyman is back after being summoned so many times, and his legend spreading like wildfire due in large part to Anthony's art. We've already talked about the fact that if this actually were a direct sequel to the original film, Candyman's name wouldn't have disappeared in the first place. But for the sake of this story, let's just go with that. Candyman and his lore have vanished. Anthony brings it back. Why do they need a new Candyman if the previous one is still chewing bubblegum and kicking ass?
I knew it was only a matter of time before the baby came back here in perfect symmetry.
How? I have to commend this movie because
smoke break.
it does try to do some interesting things with the lore, and it really could have worked, but it was just a bit overcomplicated and half-baked. That's a shame because the urban legend this version creates seems promising. A piece of folklore that reflects the horrors of police brutality and how the ghosts of that violence echo in the modern day. So what have I learned with this? What's the big takeaway? I have no idea, but I know far too much about CandyMan now. I think this franchise is similar to The Crow in that the first movie is great, the sequels pale in comparison, and the reboot, requel, whatever the fuck it's called, misses what made the story special in the first place. Part of that is just different creatives and their ideas clashing instead of creating harmony, which is kind of to be expected for the most part. And then part of it is studio interference, because remember, if it were up to the studio, there would be a Candyman versus Leprechaun movie in the vein of Freddy versus Jason. I do know one thing for sure. It is criminal that we don't have an animated horror film.
I ain't gonna lie, I damn near would have watched it. Candyman versus Leprechaun. Hearing nothing but jokes the whole damn movie and killing. Sound like that would have been right up my alley.
That would have been like a version of Scary Movie.
Oh yeah.
Film following two demons voiced by Tony Todd and Keith David. Absolutely wild that it doesn't exist yet.
You don't like what I'm gonna say, so I'm not gonna say it.
Go ahead.
Wasn't necessarily anything too bad about her work overall. I just found her voice to be very blasé. Like her voice wasn't holding attention. That's all.
And that's why you don't have to talk to him on a daily basis. That's basically what I'm saying. This is probably the only time you're gonna hear her voice. So
You sounding a little bit like Memphis there. I was just sharing my opinion.
I mean, we both from the same city. So.
Memphis, you've been too cruel to this man.
No, that's just Memphis. That's
Your
just
puff
the
too
way.
tight.
Ugh. Now I got some breathability. Look at that.
He got grease on his hands now.
Nope.
Chicken grease.
DJ don't never spin the music on time.
No,
nah, show the fuck don't. And
man got like 2 jobs.
You got one.
So what's our plans for us tonight?
I thought we were supposed to be going into some second.
Show right. Because it's his birthday, and he was talking about he might shred.
That is dandy, but I'm gonna get up with y'all tomorrow when I get off work.
Oh.
I'm tired from earlier today, my busy day.
Yeah, sure. Like what I'm saying, I don't mind which ones. Whatever.
Cool.
It's like hot outside. They'll probably sit inside, so then we can do it tomorrow. True.
I'm over to hop on. I ain't played the game all day up there.
Well, yeah, I was gonna do some of that, and then in about an hour, maybe slightly less than, should have some company coming over, and I'll obviously hop off then.
To snort cocaine. Oh, my bad. With that music, meth.
Wow, Lenny Kravitz equals meth?
No, just how you did it.
Okay. So you ain't never gonna be Black Santa.
Yep. At that note, like that, we'd like to thank everybody for coming out to Highly Social 901. When you come to chat, but you say to chill, I'm your host, Loud. This is your host, Coach Duckets, and your other host, Sensei. And like that, we signing out with the
What he said.
Hey, you gotta learn the words to the song.
They'll usually do the chorus.